So in this video, I'm going to make or design Pokemon for every type combination that doesn't yet exist. And I couldn't find an updated list of type combinations that don't exist. The most recent one I could find is right before Scarlet and Violet came out. And if you don't know, this isn't really a spoiler, but Scarlet and Violet have... Well, here's the list I found, and I crossed out the ones that Scarlet and Violet introduced. It introduced a Bug Dark type, a Fighting Fairy type, a Grass Fire type, a Ground Fighting, Poison Normal, Steel Poison, and Fighting Electric type, which leaves Bug Dragon, Normal Bug, Fairy Fire, Fairy Ground, Ghost Rock, Normal Steel, Normal Ice, Normal Rock, and Ice Poison left, as the only type combinations we don't have. So I thought I'd design Pokemon to fill those roles, just as ideas of what they could be like when Game Freak actually makes them. So starting with Bug Dragon, because I'm pretty sure it's like the most hyped up type combination that still doesn't exist. Previously, I'm pretty sure it was Electric Fighting, but then we got the absolute disappointment that is Pawmi's evolution. And we also got Iron Hands. That one's pretty cool, but yeah, the Pawmi evolution was kind of a disappointment. We could have had a better Electric Fighting type that wasn't just Iron Hands. But yeah, so as I said, right now, I'm pretty sure the most anticipated type combination is Bug Dragon. So at first I wanted to do a Dragonfly, but then I realized, like, we already have two Dragonfly-like things. Flygon, if you consider it that, but that's, what, Ground Dragon, and then Yanmega, but that's Flying Bug and not Dragon type, so that's missed potential, but I didn't do a Dragonfly because of that. So what instead I thought of was a Thorn Bug. They're these little beetle things of big spikes on their back. I don't know why. They kind of remind me of something that would be like kind of dragon-like. I guess because it's like a big claw or a big tooth-like shape. So I designed this creature called Ryum, which is a mix of the word Ryu, which is like, or I don't know if I pronounced that right, but it's a Japanese mythological dragon thing, plus Umbonia, which is part of the scientific name for a thorn bug. And this would be the first bug dragon, except not really, because it doesn't exist, but this is a concept for that. And yeah, essentially I kind of just took a reference picture of a thorn bug, I sampled its colors, and I just made what is pretty much a normal thorn bug, but with some added features, like the wing is more dragon-like than bug-like now, and has little talons instead of feet, and its face is obviously a little more dragon-like too. And this is actually probably my favorite one that I designed out of these, so yeah. Bug Dragon is something we should definitely have. And next up is Ghost Rock. And this is another thing that we pretty much do have something already that should be it, but we don't because it's not. And that's Spiritomb, because it's Ghost Dark for some reason, even though it's literally a ghost coming out of a rock. So I don't know why it's not Ghost Rock. So I couldn't really think of anything for this one that was like too good, because all I could really think of the whole time was just the fact that Spiritomb should be Ghost Rock, but it's not for whatever reason. So I came up with this. It's just like a talisman on a rock with some chains and like kind of like a ghastly type of purple gas cloud around it ghost thing. I don't know. But yeah, because talismans are like magical rocks or amulets or something. So if it's a rock or an amulet, just put them together and then you get this thing, and then put a ghost in it, and then it has the purple glow and the glowing eye and stuff, and that probably makes sense, right? And then I got a little silly with the name on this one, you know, because Talisman has the words is man in it, so this thing is a ghost, so it's Tal was man. Because it's very, very funny, because it's a ghost and it was a man. Okay, next up is a normal rock type, and for this one, I wanted to design at least one regional form, and for some reason, the only thing I could think of that could be cool as a rock normal type regional form for something was Skitty, or at least that was the first thing I thought of. So here's that. I'm sorry, I kind of rushed this one. I just traced over Skitty's normal design and added some new features, but yeah, it's a rock normal type Skitty. I mean, I'm sure some things out there could be rock normal type, like maybe Geodude, but there's gonna be a later part in this video where I talk about things that should have types, but they don't. Yeah, there's nothing really too much to say about this. I could have done Delcatty too, but I was kind of rushing this one. Sorry. Then, Fire Fairy. It is probably the one I would like to see the most out of all of these. I'm pretty sure people want to see Bug Dragon the most, but Fire Fairy is just the coolest one. And the first thing I thought of when designing this was I want to make it some kind of like shooting star, maybe? Or some kind of like fiery space thing. So I just started drawing a random cloudy object. And then I was like, okay, maybe it could be like a bird or something with the object I had drawn. And then I just kind of started adding details and it all came together and it ended up looking like a sheep. So I said, okay, I guess it's just a sheep. And I gave it a bunch of little cool space effects and I got this. It's like a sheep, but it's also a nebula. Nebulas are like stardust clouds. And that's a fire fairy type. And it also kind of makes sense because, like, you think of sheep, you count them to go to sleep, or no one actually does that, but they say that works. And then you think of that, that's kind of like, that's something that could be associated with a fairy type because it's like a calm, happy thing. And then it's also this in mixed with a nebula, and it looks pretty cool, and I like the effects I put on it. And its name is Nebulam, which is just a mix of the word nebula and lamb. I mean, that kind of came together pretty well. And yeah, I do like this one's design. Next up, though, is Ice Poison. And there's one thing I really thought could be a good idea for this, because Ice Poison is a pretty unique typing. Like, a lot of these ones that don't exist yet are just normal and then something, but Ice Poison, like, what could you do for that? What I thought is, you know, lately I think we've been discovering ancient viruses in Siberian ice or something like that, I guess. So I thought, okay, virus, poison, ice is ice, obviously, so what if it was just like a thawed out ice age animal that had an ancient sickness and there was little poison bubbles trapped inside the ice, and it was like a ancient sickness being released, but also an animal. So how I came up with this thing, it's a saber-toothed tiger, and he is sick, and he's covered in ice, which has poison and a disease trapped in it, I guess. And I called it Cenozoic, because Cenozoic is like the era of Earth, I guess, that we're in right now, or something, and it's also the Ice Age. Plus sick, because it's sick, obviously. Yeah. I feel like I could have designed this one better. I just didn't really know how to. This is also the last one I designed, so I kind of was doing it a little quickly as well. But yeah, I mean, I feel like that would be the best thing that they could do for an ice poison type. I really don't know what else they would do. And next up is ice normal. So for some reason, the first thing I thought of for what would make a good ice normal type is a bird. But that makes no sense because it would obviously be an ice flying type because it's a bird. So then I wanted to do that anyway. So I just drew this guy here. And then I was like, okay, why would it be flying normal and not flying ice? Sorry. Why would it be normal ice and not flying ice? And then I thought, okay, it's part ice type. So what if it has ice on its wings, so it can't use its wings, so it can't fly? How is it flying type if it doesn't fly? So yeah, I give him ice on his wings, and he's pretty much just like a chick mixed with a frigate bird, I guess. That's kind of what his design looks like. And I called it Friglobe, because it's like frigate bird and globe. And if you couldn't tell, his head kind of looks like a snow globe too, with the little white sparkles in it. and he is an ice normal type, and he has a little scarf around his neck that is also like the frigate bird sack. I don't know what you call that. Here's a picture of one for reference. Anyway, next up is Fairy Ground, and this one, between all of these designs, the stars aligned perfectly for this one. If Game Freak makes a Fairy Ground type and they don't make it similar to what I did, I will be disappointed, because this works so well, in my opinion. So fairy types, it's either usually just like a good thing, or it's like a mythological thing. So what myth creature lives in the ground? Because, fairy and ground. Well, gnomes do, or gnomes in folklore or something, they guard mines and they live underground or something, so the perfect thing for a fairy ground type would of course be a gnome. So I designed this called My Gnome, a mix of mine and gnome, and that would be the first fairy ground type. And it was kind of hard to make a gnome that actually looks like a Pokemon, because it's kind of like a human. I didn't want to get too humanoid. I mean, obviously Game Freak likes making weird, ugly humanoid things lately, but I didn't make this one look too humanoid. I tried not to. I kind of made it look more like a pig, but also, I guess, a little humanoid too. I kind of referenced it from one of those little holiday gnome things of the hat over its eyes, except I made the eyes on the hat to make it look like it's all just one body and not like an actual humanoid. So yeah, there's that, and here's a little fun extra thing. Different colors of it, because some Pokemon do that, like Flabebe and Floette and Florges and that new bird Squawkabilly and stuff. I don't know what the significance of it having other colors would be, but it looks kind of cool, so yeah, there's that one. And then I believe this is the last one here. Bug Normal and Steel Normal. So for one of these, I wanted to make the thing either be an evolution of something we already have, or a pre-evolution of something we already have. And when I saw Bug Normal, the most normal bug I could think of for some reason was an ant. I was like, okay, Bug Normal, it's an ant. We already have an ant, that's Durant. Maybe it can be a pre-evolution of Durant. But then I saw I had one left I hadn't had a concept yet for, and it was Steel Normal, and I thought, what if it's two pre-evolutions to Durant? The one is just a normal bug, or just like just the most basic looking ant that evolves into Durant, and it's Bug Normal. And the other is just like a little robot thing that doesn't even look like a bug, and it's Steel Normal, and it also evolves into Durant. But then I realized I don't think Pokemon has ever done two things that evolve into one thing before, and that's just kind of weird. So I thought, instead, what if it's a Bug Normal type, simple ant thing that evolves into a Steel Normal type middle evolution, and then into Durant? And I found a pretty good way to make that make sense, so I'll show you it here. There it is. You start with Larvant. Its name comes from larva and ant. It's a Bug Normal type, and it pretty much is just like Durant, but less metallic and more just like a little bug creature, I guess. I don't really know how to explain that. But then it evolves into this thing called Exeter, and as you can see, in both of their names, the final syllable, or the second syllable, I should say, is the one of the syllables from Durant's name. So the one ends of ant, just like Durant ends of ant, and then the middle evolution ends of dur, just like Durant starts with dur. But this thing's name, the middle one, would just be a mix of exoskeleton, like a bug has, plus durable, sorry, because I'm pretty sure that's what Durant's name comes from. But you're probably wondering what that even is. Hear me out. It's a Steel Normal, and of course, it's still a bug, so it should be bug. But it kind of makes sense, because a lot of the 3-stage bug evolution lines we have, it's always just a small bug evolves into a cocoon thing, evolves into a larger bug. So I thought, what if the small Bug Normal ant turns in, or goes into a metallic cocoon, and then comes out as a metallic ant? That makes sense, right? And then, obviously if it's a cocoon, it should be bug type, but like, I thought of it more as just like a metal shell than a cocoon, so that kind of justifies it being steel normal, right? I guess so. Anyway, then it evolves into Dorian, which would be bug steel. I mean, that already exists, of course. Dorian already exists. But this is kind of cool, because I don't think this has ever happened before, where every single part of an evolution line has its own, like, unique typing, and because if you look at Durant, it shares both of its types with its two pre-evolutions, but they both have a different type that it has plus normal, which it doesn't have. If that makes any sense. It's kind of confusing, but you're probably still wondering, or maybe you're not wondering. I don't really know. Anyway, Exeter here, the middle evolution, its design, I got pretty sneaky with this one. If you look at Durian's tail, you'll probably notice that it's there. That is what this design is. And I think that works so well, though, because I looked at Durian's tail. I was trying to figure out how I could make a cocoon for an ant, because ants don't go through metamorphosis or whatever, or at least I don't think they do. Anyway, I looked at Durian's tail, and I noticed, hey, that kind of looks like that does look like a cocoon, kind of, with a face on it. So then I just literally traced its tail off of this one Pokemon card, and I colored it in, and then I gave it some details. And then the only thing I actually changed was that I made the little screws, or the little bumps on it, into eyes, like closed eyelids. And now it looks like an angry cocoon thing. And I thought that one works out really well, too. So yeah, Game Freak, do this, or do what I did, or something. Yeah, and one more thing. Here's a shiny for the Rium thing from the beginning, that bug dragon I designed. I think this looks pretty cool, I guess. Yeah, alright, anyway. This video has gone on for far too long, and I'm going to end it now, but thanks for watching.